Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Psalmist. Today, I just want to speak to you about why, as a girlfriend or a woman, your boyfriend is not going to marry. Now, why do I say that? Why do I say that your boyfriend is not going to marry? Well, the thing is that why should he? I mean, imagine, let me just give you a scenario. Imagine if you get a call from Microsoft and they say that, you have been hired. And you say, but what am I going to do at Microsoft? They say, oh, you don't have to do anything. Just stay at home. And then we will keep sending you checks at the end of the month as payment because you're a Microsoft employee. And then you think that this is some kind of a joke. But come month end, you receive a check in the mail from Microsoft. And you're shocked. You're like, what? This is serious. And then you call just to make sure because you don't want people to play games on you. And at the end, they make you look like a fraud. And you call, and then they say that, yeah, you are an employee. But you say, but I don't work. And you say that you don't have to work. Mr. Bill Gates just feel generous that he wants to pay you without working. Now, ask yourself this: are you ever gonna ask for a real job at Microsoft? No, most likely no. Why? Because people don't work because they love work. They work because they have bills to pay. They need money. You see, no one really likes to wake up in the morning in winter when it's cold and go and work. No one wants to do that. People want to relax and enjoy life, but because they have to, so they sort of have to enjoy what they do anyway. So when it comes to boyfriend and girlfriends not getting married, is that a lot of young girls will think that I'm still young, I don't want to get married, I don't want a serious commitment. What kind of argument is that? You're living with the man. The fact that you're living with the man means that you're old enough to get married and you're no longer young anymore. How can you say you're still young when you live with a man? How can you say you're still young? You live with the man, you sleep with the man, you cook for the man, you clean his clothes, you do all these things that wives do for husbands. Yet you say you're still young. What is young on you? What is this thing that you think on you is still young that it cannot do what wives do? Because you're doing everything that the wife is doing, that wives are doing. So how can you say you're still young? If you're still young, you will go home to your father's house and live like a child. But the fact that you are living in this man's apartment and you're performing the role of a wife, you may not really cook every day. Maybe you today is you, tomorrow is him. But the fact that when he comes home, you're there and he's able to offload on you in terms of his stresses, in terms of his problem. He's even able to tell you about his ambitions and all these things. And you support him and you encourage him to be successful. That's what a wife is supposed to do for a husband. And you're doing all these things, yet you're only a girlfriend. So you're having sex with him, and eventually you're gonna get pregnant, and all these kids are gonna be called in his name. Yet you say that you're not ready to be a wife. What are you talking about? And women think that this is some kind of liberty for them. They think that, well, we are free. It's 2019. I can do all these things. What you don't understand is that women's liberty, women's rights have been at, men have seen the holes in women's rights and they're taking advantage of the holes. Why? Because you think that you're free to leave your father's house to go and live with your boyfriend because you're free to do so. But men take advantage of you because they use you to perform the role of a wife to them without them being your husband. What that means is that the man is able to get the advantages of, the benefits and advantages and the glories of being a husband without being one. You see, but who loses here? It is you, because men have been known to take 22, 23-year-olds and live with them without marrying them. And then the woman thinks that, she's free, she can do whatever she wants because it's 2019, it's old fashioned to want to get married and all that. And the man uses the woman as someone who supports him, someone who gives him a warm bed, someone who even bear his children and the children bear his name. And then when the man becomes successful, They leave them. And then they go now. The man now is probably 30. 15 years later, you have three of his kids. And then he now goes away and, finds a 21-year-old girl and marries her only after 3 months or 6 months, while he has spent 15 years with you without even speaking about marriage, and you thought it was freedom. But now you're 30 years old with three of his kids. The only thing that you can get from him is maintenance, and he doesn't mind paying you 30, 45,000 for the kids because they are his kids. He doesn't really care. But you think that, wow, 45,000 is a lot of money because it's not just for the kids, for me. But what you don't realize is that the man doesn't really care about that. What he cares about is that he's looking after his own lineage. So he is used to produce him for him kids. Why? Because you thought you were free, because you thought it was liberating, to live with a man without marrying him. But men take advantage of this freedom that women think that they enjoy. Men of old had to get married just to break their virginity. Just to break their virginity, they had to get married. You see, but now men today can have kids without getting married. Do you see that? And women, they think that it doesn't benefit you. So your boyfriend is not gonna marry you because he's getting all the benefits, all the glories of a husband without being one. And you think that you don't want to rush him. What? How can you be living with a man for 2 years and say, look, you've been living with a man for 2 years, you have his child, you're doing all the things that a wife does for a husband, yet you're not a wife, and you feel like you're rushing. You're rushing him to do what? Because whatever you're being rushing him to do, he's doing it already. You've already sleeping with him. So what are you rushing into? You already have his child with his surname. So what exactly are you rushing him to do? You're rushing him to do nothing. Everything that was supposed to be rushed to be done is already been done. So when you're telling him that he must marry, you're not rushing him. You're telling him to marry him. And the reason why a man may tell you that you're pressuring him, no, to stop pressuring me and all that, is because he understands that the day that he marries you, now you have a share in everything that he owns. You see? So men are smart. They understand that, okay, I can sleep with this girl, make her bear my children with my surname without me being her husband. But if I marry her, then legally she will be entitled to a lot of things which are mine. But if he doesn't marry you, he can just walk away. You can just even find that he has left without even telling you anything. Why? Because he was just a boyfriend. Do you see that? So it is the woman who loses. The man doesn't lose. Why? Because if you're a woman who desires that, in the future you want to get married, the thing is that if you're wasting your time with a man who does not marry you, you're a woman. Maybe you wish that you want to have kids, but you know that a woman, the older that she gets, the difficult it becomes for her to have kids. But a man who's 70 can still have a child, and a man who's 70 years old can marry a 25-year-old woman. If the woman agrees, it has happened. If you look at Extreme Love, you look at documentaries like Extreme Love, you find a man who's over 60 is marrying a 24-year-old girl. And the man who's 60 can impregnate an 18-year-old woman. But it's very rare to find a 70-year-old woman being married by a 25-year-old man. It's very rare. You see, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, I'm saying, but it's not rare to find a man with lots of money marrying a 21-year-old girl, while the man is 70 years old. Don't think about saying that woman is a gold digger. Well, she is, but the fact remains that it's very unlikely that even when a woman is a multi-billionaire, that she can marry a man who's 19 years old. It's very unlikely, with or without money. But a man just needs to have money and be healthy to marry a younger woman. So when a man doesn't marry you, he's wasting your time. He's not wasting his time. You see, because I'm over 35 years old. I'm not married. So if I do decide to get married one day, when I can just marry an 18-year-old, 19-year-old woman. But if I was taking advantage of a woman, she will be grieved. And because she's grieved, she's going to start saying that men are trash. But you have to understand that women who avail themselves to be exploited by living with their boyfriends and performing the role of wives in doing everything that a wife does for a man. Don't just think about cooking and cleaning. That no, a wife supports a man. A wife, listens to the man's cries and give him a shoulder to cry on, and so that the man can offload on her. You see, she gives him support and support for his ambitions, for his visions. That's why you look at a lot of women who have supported man when man was still struggling. Look at 50 Cent. 50 Cent, when he was still struggling, trying to make it, he had his girlfriend. And after he made it, he went on and took Vivica A. Fox. And then he was saying that, the woman was being insecure and all that. That's what men do. Because obviously, if right now you're my girlfriend and you are 21, 22, and then I have an ambition to do something, and then I tell you about my vision and you support me, but you don't want to marry me. You think that, well, you don't want to feel like you're rushing, and then you support me to do all these things, and I do all these things. And 5 years down the line, now I'm where I told you that I wanted to be. And there were times when I was, stressed and anxious, and then I wanted to quit, but you supported me, you encouraged me not to stop. And then I didn't stop, and I'm successful. I'm at the top of my game. Now, women who didn't know me now know me. Now they are attracted to me because I have all these things. And because I'm not really a man, I don't think about you. I think, well, I need a better woman who's in the same class as me now. And then I dump you. But because I'm not married to you, you get nothing. If we didn't have a child, you get nothing. You see, even if we had a child, the problem is that I'm gonna send you money, but the thing is that you wouldn't want money, you would want me, because you have a share in everything that I would have achieved. Do you see that? But because you thought that you are liberated to be able to live with a man, even though you were saying that you were too young to be a wife, but you were performing the role of a wife by giving me a shoulder to cry on, by giving me support, by giving me a warm bed, and even eventually giving birth to my child. But you were saying that you were too young to do all these things, but you're doing them. And then I leave, you're grieved, you're angry, and you say men are trash. Yes, I will be trash for having done that. But don't forget your own role in everything that has happened. I'm not saying you should propose to a man or tell him to marry. I'm saying that it should be a topic on the table. You see, he must tell you when is he going to marry you. If he tells you there's no money, say, no, don't worry about money. Let's just go to the marriage registration office and register our marriage. We don't need all these parties and all this. You don't need that. So if he's saying that he doesn't have money to marry, say, okay, let's go and register ourselves as a married couple. So when you have the money, we'll have the wedding. What you're doing is that you're securing yourself, because the government doesn't require that you have a wedding, for you to be married. You can just go in South Africa. You just go to court. Pick anyone in the street. In fact, people will be outside of the court looking to be witnesses to your marriage. So you can just pay them little money, 50 rands. And then after that, you're married. And then if the man says, if I'm that boyfriend, and I'm saying that I'm gonna marry you after 5 years, then we go and register the marriage. And after 5 years, when I have the man, we have the wedding, but we've been married for 5 years. So that if I leave, you can even sue me because of the promises that I've made. But the problem is that in your mind, because a woman will still think that, well, I'm still hot, I'm still young, so I don't want to commit myself, because if I commit myself, I'm going to have the divorce. Because you're thinking that there'll be other men looking for you. But you don't understand that the minute that you live with a man, you're going to be focused on this man. You won't have time to be focusing on other men. Because it's very unlikely that the reason why you live with the man is because you love him. So because you love him, you won't even have time to focus on other men. And you won't just, avail yourself to other men just to say that, put other men on a shelf in case the man, leaves. Because if the man doesn't do anything wrong for that moment, All those people who are on the shelf for you will be gone and follow other women. You understand that? So, as a woman, you must not allow yourself to be exploited by men. Don't ever move in with a man unless he marries you. And tell him that. Tell him that I'm not going to live with you in your apartment or your house unless you marry me. And this is not to say that, because some women will tell you that is desperate. No, you're not desperate. You understand your value. And you're putting the condition on the table because of your value. You're saying, no, I'm not going to perform the role of a wife. I'm not going to perform the role of a wife while I'm not a wife. You have to marry me. You understand? And then when he says that, there's this anti-nuptial contract, you don't marry. When you're a woman, never marry a man who's going to give you an anti. Why would a man suggest an anti-nuptial contract if he's not planning to dump you? You see? When you're a woman, marrying communal property. If he doesn't marry communal property, you don't marry and you leave. Why would a man who's secured in his love for you, who believes that he loves you, who when he even takes the vows of marriage, saying that in sickness and in health, yet want to say that when you divorce, he doesn't want to give you anything? What does that mean? How can I say that I'm gonna be with my wife in sickness and in health while I want to have an anti-nuptial contract to say that when we divorce, she mustn't get anything? I'm contradicting the vows that I'm taking. Because if I know that I'm never going to divorce you, I wouldn't even care about the contract. I would just marry and sign. Why? Because I know I'm not going to leave you. And then because I know that I love you, and I'm going to love you enough to make sure that you become loyal and you don't even think about leaving, I know that you will never leave me because I'm going to make sure that you don't. In the way that I love you, in the things that I do for you. But women, it's like, because they think that they're clever. I don't understand. They think that they're clever. Well, okay, I mean, like, he wants to make sure that our love is just love. It doesn't involve money. Look, when a man loves you, he gives you everything. He gives you his heart. That means when you have his heart, you have his money, his cars, his houses, his past, his present, his future. You own everything that belongs to him. Why? Because you have his heart. When you have a person's heart, you own everything that belongs to him. Because the heart that's who he is. You understand? So the minute that you think that when you agree with him, when he tells you that, well, I just want to make sure that our love is pure love, it's not about money. Hey, man, tell him, look, if I have your heart in terms of love, then I have your everything. And if you think that I can have your heart without having your money, that means I don't have your heart. You understand that? So your boyfriend is not going to marry you because you are living in accordance with his conditions. You don't even add. The conditions that you're adding suit your boyfriend more than they suit you, because you live in his house or in his apartment. You perform the role of a wife without being a wife. You have his children without being a wife. These children are called in his name without him being your husband. And you think that this is cool because you could. How can you even believe that you're gonna walk away while you already have his child? You can't. And you know that men these days, because they also are able to take advantage of loopholes in the legal system, he can say that because you don't have enough money to look after the child, even take the child away from you, and now you have nothing, and get another woman to raise your child. And all you're gonna do, you just become an angry, bitter woman who let herself to be exploited by a man because she believed that she was too young to be a wife while she was performing the role of a wife. That's why a man won't marry. The reason why a boyfriend is not gonna marry you is because you perform the role of a wife without you being one. So why should he marry? Because men of old married because even when they had sexual desire, men of old knew that for them to quench this sexual desire, they had to get married. Men of old knew that if they want to have kids, they have to get married. But today, Men can quench their sexual desire without getting married. They can have children without getting married. They can have a woman performing the role of a wife without getting married. Because all they have to do is to convince you to live with the man, with him, without you becoming one. And when you get sick and tired, just so if you're sick and tired, you can just leave. And by that time, it's 10 years down the line. And you feel abused and used and you're angry. Now you're gonna appear on TEDx talks and say the men are trash, or you're gonna start a hashtag on Twitter or on Facebook saying the men are trash. But you don't want to take account. You don't want to account for yourself, for having availed yourself to be exploited by fallen men. You see, so you don't have to live with a man if he's your boyfriend, and you have to tell him that I'm not gonna live with you. The only way I'm gonna live with you is when you marry me, and you have to give him time and say, if this relationship goes for this long without you marrying me, I'm leaving. So he knows the worth. He knows your worth because you know your worth. It's not just about getting married. It's about getting value out of the marriage. It's about getting value out of yourself. And the value that you're going to get is the value that you put in, because you know that you can put in value in his life. That's why you're putting value on yourself. You're saying, this is what I'm worth. If you can't afford it, then move on. But because women think that they're free, they devalue themselves and they make themselves, they avail themselves to be taken advantage of. You see, it's like when a woman becomes a stripper, believing that it's free. I mean, she's free, not understanding that that's what men have always been looking to do, to look at naked women. And because they give you money, you think that you're free to do all this thing. But what you're really doing, you're just feeding this man's sexual desires. And because you're a stripper and they have money, a man can come to you and say, "Well, I'll give you this much. Let's have sex." And depending, well, money is gonna be tempting. And you can't say no to each and every man. Eventually, every stripper becomes a prostitute. Because you can strip, men look at you, they desire, they start throwing money at you, but eventually they want to have sex. And, obviously you're not going to say, let's have sex. But he's going to come and say, here's 20,000. Let's have sex. Just once. And you think 20,000 is a lot of money, and it's just once, and I'm going to use protection. You see, and you do that, but what you don't realize that because you thought you were free to do what you want, to expose this, to sexually use yourself to make money, but it is the man who eventually benefits. So your freedom from the man comes back, benefits the man, because men now can have sex with women without men in them, and you thought the women of old were oppressed because they were married and they could not do the things that they were doing. But women of old were secured in their marriage, in their homes. But you're not secured because you don't have a marriage. You don't have a family. So women must think when they think about this women liberation and freedom and rights and all this things. Because for me, when I look at it, it benefits men more than benefits women. So that's all I have to say about this topic. Why your boyfriend will not marry you. And if you have anything to say about this topic, you can just leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for listening.